Hey guys, welcome back. I am so excited to jump into this next project that I literally had to talk myself out of doing this project last week before I finished the paint. I can't tell you why I was so excited. I just was super excited. I thought that this project was going to be so quick, maybe 30 to 45 minutes. I really just wanted to get it done so that I would have that wow factor, really make me feel good about going into this next part. But it was so not the case. If you have not done peel and stick backsplash, peel and stick tile, or any kind of peel and stick vinyl anything, please watch this video before you move forward into this project. So before I get into the install with the peel and stick tile backsplash, I wanted to go through the different options that you have for backsplashes if you're doing a trailer reno, and let you know that this isn't the only option, but this is why I came to this option. So to start off with, you have the option to just paint a backsplash. Obviously, it's something that you're already going to have. You're already going to have that paint if you're doing a trailer reno. You're doing the other walls, so you could obviously just paint that wall also so that it will match the color. The only thing is that you're going to have to make sure that the finish on the paint that you're using for the backsplash area is a high gloss. So it's going to at least need to be a semi-gloss, if not the ultra premium high gloss paint where it's like basically reflective, because you want it to have that waterproof barrier. The backsplash area, that's where all of your meal prepping and you're washing your hands and stuff like that, so there's just going to be water everywhere. And so you're going to want something that's going to wipe down very well and will be able to clean very easy. So if you decide to go to the paint route, make sure that you're doing a high gloss paint. I didn't want that because I was doing more of a matte finish in the trailer, so that was like a no-go for me. The next option was to do like a vinyl roll, and you can see those in different home supply stores like Lowe's and Home Depot. If you go into the flooring department, they have those big long rolls of just vinyl, which you see in like apartments and kitchens and stuff like that, and they usually use it for the floor. But for an RV, you could probably use it as a backsplash because it's water resistant and it's thin and lightweight. So you would probably just make sure to measure your area and have it cut accordingly. The only thing that kind of turned me off about that was the finish. The finished product was going to have to be one continuous piece, and there were a lot of little like nitpicky things in this area, so I just wanted a little bit more flexibility, and I didn't want to have to dick around with like buying the adhesive and buying the tools for the adhesive, and I was just worried with it being one solid piece that it would be too easy for me to screw up, even though it's super cost effective and there are a lot of cool different patterns and stuff like that. It just didn't sit right with me aesthetically, basically. That was out. They also have peel and stick wallpaper, which you can use, and I actually ended up using that for the surface areas like the countertops, and I'm going to use it on the tabletop also. It's just like a real thin vinyl peel and stick, basically like wallpaper, that you could use on the wall because technically they say that's weatherproof also, so that would work fine. But after doing it on the tabletops and the surfaces, I don't recommend that. Very difficult to use, very thin. You're gonna beat yourself over the head about it. Could go the ultra high-end route and have like the glass tile or the ceramic tile that you would put in a normal backsplash like in your kitchen or your bathroom in your home, but it just doesn't make sense. Not for me, and I guess for some people in RVs and trailers, like I said, if you're gonna just park it somewhere and you're never gonna move it and it's always gonna be temperature controlled or whatever, and you want it to be, super fancy, whatever, then you could totally do that. But for us, we need that flexibility. It didn't make sense for us to go the ceramic or glass tile route because it's going to be in high heat. We're not always going to have it at a steady, 76 degrees in there. We're in Central Florida, so it's going to get hot in there. And we are going to travel with it. Sometimes it'll be at the house. Sometimes we're going to go to the beach. Like, who knows? It'll be, shifting all the time. And we wanted to have something that's going to have more of a flex to it, a little bit of give, so that way the tiles aren't going to break, it's not going to cause damage to the wall, and it was easy for me to get up, so it'll be easy for me to take back down if I ever wanted to switch it out again, which After doing this, I'm not gonna do that. It's up there until it goes bad. For cost effectiveness, this just made sense. Obviously the other options, the paint and the vinyl roll, is a lot more cost effective when you're looking at just numbers on a spreadsheet, but the finish is important to me. I guess if you're doing a trailer reno, the finish is going to be important to you, otherwise you would have just left it as is. But I didn't want something just two-dimensional where it was just flat on the surface, and I wanted it to have that like real tile kind of feel without it being the real tile. So I paid a little bit more. These sheets that I found on Amazon, I like the pattern. It's classic, whatever. It was a 12 by 12 sheet, which not all of them are. A lot of the peel and stick tiles that I was looking at, they're 10 by 10. It's like a 3D, so it's got a little bit of edging to it. It's super nice. It's got a nice finish. And it cost me about $4 per square foot. So is it more than regular tile? Yeah. And is it more than vinyl? Yeah. But I only had 12 square feet to do. At the time, I wasn't sure if I was going to do both the kitchen and the bathroom, so I just bought enough for the kitchen. And as you'll see, it wasn't enough. It was almost enough. I did decide to go ahead and do the bathroom too, so I did end up buying another thing. So all in all, the whole project for the backsplash area was, I would say, between $90 and $100, and just blood, sweat, and tears, baby. Like anything in this trailer reno. Finally, before we get into the install, because you're not going to be able to see the small technical details, I wanted to show you a close-up of what those peel and stick tiles actually look like when I get them. This is just a smaller cut version. So this would be a 12 by 12 sheet that I had cut here. But there's one side that has these nice overlap hexagons, which are totally flat because these are 3D. And then this is a flat option, so that way when you're installing these, you can match up the hexagon and it'll be perfect. It won't be heavier on this side or thicker on this side, whatever. And it also has that at the bottom. So be aware of this when you're installing your peel and stick tile sheets. Be aware of where your overlaps are, because you don't want the overlaps to be on the finishing end or on an end closest to maybe your cabinets or your countertops, because then those pieces are gonna show. If your countertop is right here and you decide that's where you're gonna finish, it's gonna say overlap here all along the line of the countertop. So it was the first mistake I made, and I wanted to share that with you because you'll see it in the video, but not quite as in depth. You are gonna have to trim these depending on what the pattern is, but the pattern that I got was these hexagons. So these are the overlap sides. There would be 2 overlap sides, and then there would be 2 raw sides. So this one's open, and then this other side was also open. Because of the alternating hexagon pattern that I had, it would finish on a full hexagon, but then it would also have an outjut of the finishing hexagon because of the alternating hexagon pattern. And you would have to just go ahead and make a straight cut to get that finishing edge. So when you're going to cut for the first time, your first cut when you're putting it up on the wall, make sure that you have a straight edge for both areas. If you're starting at the ceiling and the corner wall, you're going to want to make sure that your straight edge is on the ceiling and also along the corner wall, and that your overlapping edges are going to be facing out and down. So if you're starting at the bottom and working up, make sure that your straight edge is going to be at the countertop and the opposing wall or wherever your finishing is, and then the overlap will be on the top and the side that you're going to be working off of. Just make sure that you're always thinking that ahead because I made that mistake and I had to do little nitpicky things to fix it.
Okay, so this is the first piece that I cut, and you can see I created that one straight edge, but what I should have done is created 2 straight edges, but instead, as you can see at the top here, I've got an overlapping edge, and I had to go back through and cut little triangles to fix that in later. So what I'm doing is I'm dry fitting first, making sure that I can cut around the applications on the wall and make sure that everything lines up first before I peel back the adhesion layer. And then after everything's pretty tight dry fit, then I took back the adhesion layer and I went through and I installed to fit. I started with the 2 corners, and then I'm just kind of like smoothing as I go down, making sure that everything fits real tight. I do end up cutting some more space along some spots, but I do want all of my cuts to be as tight as possible because I really don't want to go back through and caulk up any holes, because this is just supposed to be a temporary fix. It's not like a permanent solution. So I continue on one by one each sheet, and unfortunately by the time I got to the other side of the window there was a discrepancy and my hexagons didn't really line up. It had about 1/8 of an inch difference, so I had to use an extra sheet and cut that to fit, and I was really kind of PO'd about it, honestly. It wasted a whole nother sheet, but what can you do? You can't just like leave it, otherwise the whole rest of the wall is going to be screwed up. So luckily for me, this pattern makes it super easy for me to just remove the tiles that I'm going to be replacing with that new sheet, that new continuous sheet. And I'm actually putting these back on that plastic lining so that way I can reuse these tiles later, and thank goodness that I did, because I used a whole nother sheet, which actually is what I needed to finish off this wall. I had 12 square feet that I needed to do, and I only bought 12 square feet of tile. So had I not saved these, I wouldn't have been able to reuse them later. Now, I don't know if it's because there's a difference in the width of the wall between the cabinets on the countertop on the far left side than it is on the right side as I'm working towards the right, but you know, if maybe there was like a weight discrepancy, maybe I favor my right side more. But it's just a good thing to note if you're going into this firsthand that you may think you're putting them on level, but they might not necessarily all be level. You can cut them to fit, obviously, but especially when you're working around a window, that was a really difficult part for me. So as I'm putting on this new sheet, I'm really trying to be aware that I need to like almost stretch it to fit. So I'm putting one side on, just the tip, so that it attaches to the wall, and then I'm really trying to stretch it as it goes around the window to make up for that 1/8 of an inch that I missed. The grout lines helped out a little bit, but I am going to have to go through and touch up a little bit just because I'm nitpicky. Now at this part of the install, I'm really feeling like I need to catch up for that lost sheet. So I've got a bunch of these extra little pieces that I had cut to fit, especially around the window area, and I'm just kind of dry fitting them to see which ones I can use, if I can use all of my extra bits. I really don't want anything to go to waste because there's no point in having extras. So wherever I can fit these in like a little puzzle piece, that's what I'm gonna do. Okay, so after doing the stick and peel tile install, I want to say that that was pretty cool. So much easier than doing regular tile install. I did screw up obviously a couple times. I did video that. I am going to probably do the same thing over in the bathroom, but I was measuring the bathroom and it's probably the same square footage as this. So I might buy a smaller pack depending on what kind of mirror I put there and maybe just do around it. I really don't want to cut corners though. Anywho, I am being a little bit thrifty and I'm saving all the good pieces so that way if I need anything in the future, then I'll have these pieces. And that's exactly what I did when I was filling in, especially around the hood over here, because it was such a small finite space and it was just enough to fit like half of these hexagons. So I was individually placing these hexagons to make it all work, and I'm grateful I did, because now I only have that one strip that I need to replace with the new pack, so I'm feeling good about it. I really made my dollar go pretty far. Even though this project did take a lot longer than I expected it to, I did not just do this one project this week. I did tackle the backsplashes for both the kitchen and the bathroom, but I also did the sinks and the countertops, which I will do in my next video. So 2 videos this week. Hooray! Thanks guys for following me. I appreciate it.